Hi guys, welcome to Data Talk with Ifine. In my previous video, I shared my experience on how I became a data analyst. In today's video, I will also share my experience on how I learned Excel, a key data analytical tool, and also how I became good at it. I hope you find this video interesting, guys. I used to have this feeling that Excel are for mathematicians, people that know how to use maths because there's calculation in it. Funny enough, I didn't know I was just lying to myself, or that I was just like giving an excuse not to learn it. But eventually, when I started learning it, I saw that Excel is actually lovely. It's something anyone can learn. Yeah, be you a data analyst or not, Excel is a tool that you can learn. You can use it for your own self purpose. You can use it as a storage system to store your data. You can use it for calculation. You can also use it to build dashboard, charts, and all that. So let me share my experience on how I started learning Excel. Before I knew Excel was a big deal in data analysis, I'd already started using it. I've been using it to build student reports. I've been using it for storing data. I've also used it for running basic calculations. So I'd already gotten myself familiar with the Excel and how it works. So when I started my Google Data Analytical course, Excel was actually the first tool we were taught. I started noticing that the approach I had towards learning Excel was quite different from what I was being taught because this time my tutor focused more on analytical thinking. He spent more time in teaching us how to think like a data analyst, not just working with tools, how to see problem, how to understand problem, and the best way to go about solving this problem. Not just that, also how to communicate your results or your findings to your audience or your employer. This was something I never knew during my months of learning Excel. I never knew there was this thing called analytical thinking, that at some point I would have to understand the problem at hand, the tools to use to solving it, and also the best way to communicate it after I found or I've gotten my results. So I never knew all this, but with the course, I got an eye opener on learning analytical thinking. So guys, I was taught Power Query. Power Query for data cleaning is like a feature in Excel. It works very, very perfect, easy and smooth. You don't have to dwell or spend most of your time trying to learn formulas, cram formulas, function and all that. With your Power Query, knowing it, you are rest assured that your Excel data cleaning and structuring is solved. Yeah, Power Query is that powerful as it sounds. So the next thing I learned was pivot tables used for analysis. I noticed that most of the times when I want to give like a summary of a data set, I'll have to create a new column, use function and all that, and it can be stressful. I am sure nobody likes stress, even if it's something you have to do at some point. I'm sure if you find the easy way of doing something, you will have to leave the hard way of doing that thing, right? When I started using pivot table, I saw that there was no need of me cramming functions and formula. With my pivot table, I can run any summary I want and get the results fast and smooth. So I learned Power Query, I learned pivot table. Then the third thing I also learned was data visualization. So most of the times as data analysts, we don't have to always use tables to tell a story. With your charts, you can tell this story and it will even look more presentable because believe it or not, these people we are communicating these our findings to, most of them don't have knowledge about Excel. They don't know how our process went. They only just want to see results and the best way to get their problem solved. So I learned how to use charts to tell story, how to represent numbers, how to use KPIs, slicers, and all that, how to give the perfect report, then how to build dashboards. These are like the final stage that I knew was very, very important because if you are a data analyst and you lack the ability to communicate your findings to your employer or to your viewers, is a very big blow. It's like you've done nothing. I'm telling you, communication is very, very important. So I learned how to communicate and tell my story with dashboards, how to use charts to represent figures, and how to build a presentable dashboard. Yeah, because if your dashboard is too clustered, if it's something that someone can look and understand at a glance, that means you didn't get the dashboard well. These are things that I was able to learn during my Excel process, and with time I started jumping into projects because I didn't want my learning process to stop at just learning how this thing works. I wanted to start building something for my own self. So I got some data sets from Kaggle, some websites, and also from friends. When sourcing for these data sets, I always try to make sure that they are very clean. They are already structured and cleaned, because the fear of using a messy data set used to get me confused. But with Power Query, why am I scared? So I knew no matter how messy my data is, when I upload it on my Power Query, I'm rest assured that the cleaning process will go smooth. Yeah, so the fear of omitting messy data while sourcing for data sets, I took that away from me. I started building and working on real-time, real-life projects and solving business problems. And also, my communication skill, I worked on it, and that was how I was able to learn Excel very well and build my confidence as an Excel user. So guys, if you find this video or this my story inspiring, if you find it motivating, kindly like, share, subscribe and comment. Bye guys.